So I'm mostly using colors I already have on my palette, but some of them are the Quinacridone Gold. This is American Journey. It's a cheap Joe's art supply brand of watercolor. I am going to be using Payne's Gray. I have a little bit of Cobalt Blue. What else we got here? Some French Ultramarine Blue by Winsor Newton. Daniel Smith Moonglow. And a little bit of Mars Black. And lastly, what do I have here? Phthalo Blue. This is Arsh, 140-pound cold pressed watercolor paper, 100% cotton. So I'm just wetting my paper down. I've taped the sides so I have a nice sharp edge around the painting. And let's see where I go with this. Decided to go with the Hake Brush. I think I am going to use my large, which has definitely seen better days. The goat hairs are starting to shed a bit. And I'm going to go in with this guy in a very fast and loose style and kind of stick to an intuitive process. I'm going to dip into some of that Quinacridone Gold. I don't want too much. I'm just going to bring an element of light into the sky so we don't just have white space. And let's start here. Don't want it to be too dark. We want this to be the light that's kind of shining through the clouds in the sky. We want to be careful when coming in with our blue because we do not want the blue to mix with the yellow and create green. So I am going to go with the French Ultramarine, a little bit of that, and I'm just going to start over here and just kind of try to avoid that yellow or that gold. And just kind of come in. We're using negative space here, so the white space is going to be the suggestion of clouds. And I'm just adding a little bit of color just to differentiate the white space here. And we'll go in where this gold is in just a minute. Just give it a few moments to dry or to just not be as wet. Now I'm going to go in with that Moonglow by Daniel Smith. Let it kind of do its magic. That is the beauty of watercolor. Come in with a little bit of this Cobalt. There's some black that was left on there, but that's okay. Remember, watercolor always is going to dry lighter. Let's do some of the Payne's Gray around the edges. Tilt it a bit, move it around. You pretty much have one chance to do this. You can go over it again, but if you want to get that beauty of that fast loose style where it just is all flowing nicely together, you don't really have much of an opportunity to do that once it dries. So I'm going to take a piece of crumpled up toilet paper, and I'm just going to, let's see, I'm going to create clouds, and you want to go really light here. If you push too hard, it is going to take too much of that paint off, and it's just going to be white, white, white. And we don't want that, or at least I don't. If you want that, then go for it. I just want some soft clouds here. This has dried for a little while, so I'm just going to go around these edges of the clouds here, and I have a very damp clean paintbrush that I dipped in very clean water, and I will continue to dip so I don't get any of that color mixed in there, and I am just going to soften the edges. As the sky is continuing to dry, I'm going to take a little bit of that Moonglow from Daniel Smith and that gold. And what else? Maybe a little bit of this phthalo blue. And I'm just going to create some distant, I don't know, foliage of some sort here. I wanted to see what that looked like. First, that looks pretty good. And I'm just going to kind of drop it in. Let's do, I guess we're doing a mountain. And I'm just kind of dropping it in. I have almost a little bit too much water on there. Now, obviously the sun is coming down here, so we really want to create some light right beneath it. So I'm just going to go in and just kind of remove some of that and lighten it up. See, now we have the illusion here of the sunlight kind of coming down and brightening this part of the painting. I'm going to tap a little bit of that opera pink for a suggestion of some flowers here. And I think I'm going to come in with a yellow, add a little bit of yellow. This is the background, so I will be working on the foreground and detail as I go. But for now, we are just kind of laying the foundation. So, you know, we can go over this as much as we want. Once it's dry, we can leave what we like. It just, we're just experimenting. I'm dropping some yellow and gold. I did a little bit of lemon yellow. Now I'm doing some, I don't know, various shades of yellow that I have here on my palette. It doesn't really matter. Now I am going to cover part of the sky here because I feel like I want to add some splatters to the foreground here, maybe a little pink, the opera rose, and I'm going to take some lemon yellow, do the same. I just don't want it getting in the sky. If it does, okay, there are some flowers blowing around. And then I'm going to take a little bit of green. For my greens, I am using some homemade watercolors by Jazper Stardust on Etsy. I just really like his watercolors. I'm just going to bring a little green in there. Kind of has a Monet type of look there, doesn't it? It's pretty. think I'm going to do some of that Daniel Smith Moonglow, purple, just to bring in some contrast. There. I love that. Okay. Kind of looks like candy sprinkles. Okay, so it dried nicely. And I'm feeling like there needs to be a little bit more yellow down here. So it's perfectly dry, and I'm just going to wet it a bit. And I'm going to take in some lemon yellow. And a little bit of a darker yellow. Just add some down here. So I'm just adding a few suggestions of flowers here. I'm not really trying to be super precise. I just have this size 1 rigger brush, and I'm just going to bring in some grasses in the foreground. Usually I'll do a purple in the center, but I already have it on my brush, so I am going to use this. Let's splatter a little of that Payne's gray in there. I'm going to use the rigger brush to do that so that it's not too much. Just a little bit of something and nothing here and there. Again, contrast, contrast, contrast. It's so important. There we go. See how that just kind of breaks it up. I'm continuing on here. I feel like I need to add some distant mountains here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some really diluted, a little bit of this Phthalo blue and some of the Payne's gray, and I'm just going to add some water so that it's very, very light. See that? How light that is? Because as we go off in the distance, the mountains are much lighter, and then they become darker as we move into the foreground. So I don't want them too dark. I just want them to be just barely visible here in the background, and kind of coming across here. Small amount. This might be too much. Nope, that's good. We'll lighten as it dries, so keep that in mind. And it's nice and light here where the sun is hitting. I can even take my paper towel and just dab it a little bit. And then keep it a little bit darker over here. There. Perfect. And let's do some foliage in the distance. I'm just dipping onto my palette. I'm just dipping into random, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Very, very light. And I will create some foliage here in the distance. think I'm going to put a little tree here. Just mixed a little bit of brown and green. It's light brown, again from this Jazper Stardust Watercolors. He has a store on Etsy. I just really like them. I like the green and brown mixed for trees, at least for that initial layer. I'm going up here. And I'm going to go in with a darker brown. But we are seeing this tree from behind, and this is the shadow side. So I'm just going to keep it to this side. And hope for the best. I'm actually going to dab a little bit of green in here, some moss. And take some of that paper, just dab a little bit up and down the tree, carefully, just to give it some texture. Take my nail and just kind of some scratches in there. Now with the same colors I just used, a little of that black and some brown, maybe put a little green in there. I'm going to do the thinner branches. I feel like I need something kind of going out this way. I'll take this little handy tool I got off of, I don't even remember where I got it. It's just rubber tips, just to add in a few little odds and ends. A few more of those splatters here for the yellow flowers. I'll even put them around the tree. And a little bit more of the pink. Now that it's dry, you can really see where it might need a bit more color, right? And I'm going to leave it at that. Here is the finished painting. Sometimes I'll put in some leaves on the trees. Sometimes I just leave them bare. It just depends upon what I'm feeling while I'm doing the painting. And honestly, I don't feel like I want to add anything to the trees. I like the contrast. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this. Oh, one last thing. Let's remove the tape.